I've been writing songs for about 5 or 6 years now. I've been recording said songs starting in 2022. I've released 2 songs. Suddenly, I have 2 EPs to release within the next 6 months. Now, here's the real catch. On a whim, I deleted my entire Instagram last year and started from scratch. I haven't been active on it until this month. But now, I'm on a time crunch. Here's everything I'm planning to do and some reflections on why I got myself into this situation. This is Pointing to the Moon, reflections on the process of building an artistic career with well being in mind. I'm Catherine. I'm an actress, singer, and writer working to build a career. I'm not here to add to the noise or feed you promises. This is a place of peace, reflection, and taking pride in the process. So, somewhere around the middle of last year, I decided I wanted to be free of my digital footprint and all the connections I had on my social media and just start fresh. Now, to be fair, the following I had before was not large. It wasn't an engaged following necessarily. For example, when I accepted my offer from my college as an incoming freshman, there were these huge follow for follow type posts on Facebook. Everyone posted their Instagram handles. So I had all these people I barely knew who weren't interested in me as an artist. More likely, I was just another follower to them, and admittedly, vice versa. But regardless of the quality of the followers, with any level of visibility on social media, there can be a level of discomfort that builds up, specifically if you let your mind wander into the minds of your followers, perceiving your posts from the outside and all the possible reactions that could be going on behind the scenes. Seeing the insights that someone had shared my post and immediately thought, who's talking about me? Anyways, now I have less than 200 followers, which is not encouraging for those working with me to write music, let alone myself. I think deleting social media or giving up on it repeatedly when I know it's important to my journey comes from a place of, well, self sabotage maybe, but also shame about the past, about not always being perfect. And I'm certain, even if there's music I'm proud of in the moment, I'll look back on it in a few years and see the imperfections or areas for growth and from the public eye. It's so easy to write off your former self instead of celebrating how every iteration of your work got you closer to the artist you want to be. I'm going to pause and share a book recommendation on this topic. It's an extremely accessible one as it's written in very short form and visually stimulating, which just makes the message ring out loud and clear. It's called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. I know this is a highly recommended book, as are all of Austin's books, within the self-help artist crossover space. However, I have to mention it because it called me out. My biggest crime as an artist is holding on to my work, letting myself be held hostage by the criticisms I expect to field in the aftermath of a release. There's always another reason why work isn't ready. Or if I'm committed to putting something out into the public, I conveniently become too busy or too distracted to actively promote it. I don't want to reveal all the advice in this book to you, since I think you should read it for yourself, but I'll give one little reframe that stuck with me. He reflects on the resistance we all seem to have to being referred to as amateur, how the connotation is that the amateur creates work of lesser value. He urges us to think of an amateur as someone who works out of love, passion, curiosity. This is actually closer to the French translation, but there's lots of interpretations of the word. Our English version is definitely more derogatory. Amateur faces fewer restrictions and impositions than the professional. They owe nothing to anyone, but purely create for the love of it. Allowing yourself to be an amateur allows for curiosity to take the wheel, for more discoveries to be made. It's better to contribute something and allow for your voice to be heard than to wait for perfection and contribute nothing. It's a huge distinction for me. Art, to me, at its core, is about giving. Revealing something of yourself or humanity to your audience is an act that can only be achieved through a certain level of generosity. While artists can have egomaniacal reputations, this is usually a side effect of the struggle to prove oneself and establish oneself as a great artist, rather than a side effect of creating the art itself. When we withhold our creations out of fear of imperfection, fear of being compared to the professionals, we're protecting our egos. It's an act of selfishness to withhold our art, however much we may doubt the value of our own creations. It's even more selfish to refrain from creating altogether. Reading this had somewhat of a backwards effect on me, because while it did convince me of sharing and promoting my work, it made me treat it less like work of a quote unquote amateur and more like a career I'm passionate about. From the perspective of what I can contribute to the world, to my communities, and to anyone who needs to hear my work, flip my outlook on its head. It's so easy to get caught up in comparisons and proof of success or proof of your value, but the ego is the worst enemy of honest art. When I think about what I can give, rather than what accolades my work can get me, nothing stops me from creating every day. I can sit down at a desk or at a piano without dread or fear looking at a blank page. I treat it like it's a full-time job and willingly. And I can do it consistently for the first time in years. Now, I'm actively trying to promote my work. I participated in Audrey Helped Actors podcast challenge, Self Tape May, where you post 16 self tapes in the month of May. Previously, I would have never dared to post something like that. Showing my work, especially for acting and especially in such an unpolished state, seemed so cringe and desperate. But really, what about that is cringe and desperate? That's what I love to do. What else would I share if I'm going to share something on social media? So I decided to do it. I forced myself. It was really very hard, harder than I expected, because there were days when I just did not want to get on camera. I did not want to be seen how I was in that state. And I just had to keep doing it anyways. And that's what it's going to be like in the job in the first place. Like, I'm not going to feel perfect and camera ready every day. Sometimes you don't really have a choice. But I use that as my way of ripping the band aid off, showing myself that I can post things like that on social media and no one really cares. If anything, I got more followers and I got more support, and people became interested in what I'm actually doing. And if they weren't, maybe they unfollowed. I didn't really notice. I more noticed the support I was getting and the excitement I had over picking the new material and what I wanted to share. And now, as I have my release coming up, I'm taking a whole new approach. I'm trying to find a way to brand myself and treat social media like I'm trying to treat my art, as a way to provide value to others. I don't want to act like I'm an expert, and I don't want to try to sell anyone anything. I don't want to provide any more falsehood than we already get inundated with on the day to day. But I figured if at least I can share my journey, share my experience, and share whatever's helping me, that'll reach someone else too. So that's what I'm doing with this podcast. That's what I'm trying to do with social media. And I created an actor's audition journal to help people keep track of their auditions. I know that's something that I'm really passionate about, being organized and having data to back up my opinions and my ideas about my growth and my acting. So that's something I wanted to make for other people. So that's actually available on Amazon. It's called the Pointing to the Moon Actors Audition Journal. But whether or not that actually finds anyone, I'm gifting it to the people in my life and hopefully it helps them out. And it was just fun to make, honestly. I didn't even think that was something I could do. And it turns out just make a journal and sell it on Amazon. And there's really not that many barriers to entry. So it was really exciting. But more specifically, leading into my release, are the things I'm thinking about: submitting the playlist, brainstorming visuals, creating my own music videos. I already created one music video. It was so much fun to make. And I'm so excited at the idea of putting it together for myself, figuring it out. I have no idea how to do this, and I have no idea if anyone would look at it and think it looks good, but I think it looks good. I think it's so much fun. Creating series on social media so people can follow my journeys, sharing things that I love, sharing inspirations, editing my cover art, brainstorming ideas for my cover art, putting a photo shoot together. I think I'm doing all these photos myself, so I don't really know how they're going to turn out, but it'll be a fun and creative venture for me. And this is something that's super intimidating to me, honestly. I've been told that nowadays when you have a release, the best thing to do is to have some kind of event, even if it's small, virtual or in person event. So I honestly think I'm going to have a mini release party with my friends and I'm going to have people over. We're going to share the songs. So that's something that's scary to me because it's like I'm bringing people out just to show them my songs. That feels like a lot of pressure. At the end of the day, people are going to support you and more people are going to be interested in your work thing. So, going into this next week, thinking about vulnerability, why don't you share a piece of work that doesn't feel fully formed yet, but you've been sitting on? And even if it's just sharing it with one friend, get it out there, let it affect someone. Remember to leave a rating, some comments, let me know what you got from this episode or what you want to hear, and stay